This week, we sat down with Savas Komban, an industrial engineer, serial entrepreneur, and CEO at Smartlens, the first electronics-free soft contact lens that measures eye pressure and its fluctuations throughout the day. Join host Ehsan Sadri, MD, for a riveting conversation on the future of glaucoma care.
Hi, everybody. This is our Dr. Ehsan Sadri, board-certified ophthalmologist here in Newport Beach, California. I'm also the co-founder and GP of Visionary Ventures, also here in Orange County. I'm actually really excited to bring Savas Komban, who's the CEO and co-founder of Smartlens, as my guest. The Smartlens is a clinical stage medical technology company that basically aims at preventing blindness due to glaucoma. He's also a partner of Mighty Capital and chairman of the Silicon Valley Ignite. So obviously he's a leading entrepreneur here and in this ecosystem and important to us in eye care. And for those of you who follow this, you know that's my passion. So Savas, so good to see you. How you been? You been okay?
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. And I know things have been tough at home, but thank you for coming on at this time. It's a pretty important time in the company. So tell us a little bit about your background and what made you focus in ophthalmology.
Yeah, I'm an industrial engineer by training and a serial entrepreneur for the last 2 decades. I remember myself from my very early childhood being actively involved in business. My dad was running a shoe manufacturing company, and I was with him after the school hours and during my holidays. And it was kind of my first virtual company because he was giving me some kind of responsibility and he was treating me like his partner in business. And I think that that experience was somewhat influential on me, and I always wanted to become an entrepreneur. And my formula for that was studying industrial engineering because it would give me an understanding of different engineering disciplines and also the management itself. So right after college, I started my career as a business systems and management consultant. It was the late 90s, and there was this globalization, wave of globalization, and there was the need for transforming businesses to the new economy, making them more competitive, and so. And I was believing that there is a different way to do things than the incumbent big six. It's big four now, and I wanted to start my own company, but I needed a team, and without a team, you cannot start a company. And I could convince 4 of my colleagues to join me as my co-founders, and we started our company only after 18 months in that sector. I was young and brave enough to do that. What we were doing was we were developing business solutions that streamline end-to-end operations for life sciences and several other industries. And what we were doing was we were streamlining their operations from sales to supply chain, finance to HR, and strategic planning. And that was my first experience with some of the biggest ophthalmology companies then. Actually, we were trying to solve their toughest business challenges, and it was indeed a difficult job. But on the other hand, I was enjoying it because I was always learning new things, and it was also giving me this sense of accomplishment as our customers were growing, they were investing in new fields, and they were creating more jobs and so. And it all went very good over there, and we had a good team, we had a great team and a great company culture, and it helped us to grow the business very quickly. And we grew the business to more than 500 customers in 40 different countries. And then we were receiving strategic offers from some of the largest companies, and we had an offer from Entity Japan, and which was a very good fit for us. And I promised to stay with them for more years. And during that time, it was also a very good learning opportunity for me. We did great things together. We grew the business again 5 times in 4 years. And after that, for me personally, it was the time to move forward and to find a new way to use my experience and technology in a novel way, in a more direct way to make, for the good of people, to make a better impact on lives.
You just tell the truth. You're a startup junkie, and you couldn't rehab in a big company. That's great. That's great. And then I was reading that you were featured in Fortune's 40 under 40. Tell us about that. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was when I was with my previous business, and they were making this annual list, and they had also listed me in one of those listings. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's terrific. So then you finish with the Japanese NTT, right? And you after you have this experience, what led you to Smartlens? Why glaucoma? Why ophthalmology? How did that come about?
Uh-huh. Yeah, during those times, as I said, I was looking for a new cause to use my experience and to make really a bigger and more direct impact on lives. Uh-huh. And during those times, I met with my co-founders, two very smart scientists from Stanford, and they were working on this huge problem for ophthalmology, for remote IOP monitoring. And I was also having a personal connection to this problem because both my parents were suffering from glaucoma, and I'm also personally at high risk for the disease. And I could understand why this is a big problem and why we need a solution for that. But I didn't rush. I took some time off. I made my own research, and I met with several KOLs during that time. And I also went through the Stanford Biodesign curriculum to make sure that I'm not missing anything, any important details. And then in the end, I said that, yeah, this is going to be the cause. I will devote myself. I will put my money in. I will spend my time to bring this technology to life because it's so important.
Yeah, that's terrific. I remember, and you've been involved so heavily now in ophthalmology, and what a unique time, right? In COVID has, and we'll talk about that and how that I believe will help what you're doing. It was an unmet need, but tell me, how's that impacted your progress with Smartlens?
The COVID, yeah. Actually, certain things had to slow down, especially the external collaborations, due to this shelter in place and everything. But on the other hand, we could really accelerate on the clinical path. And we recently got early results from our clinical trials, and we got very good results. So that was good. And also additionally, I think this whole COVID times, I think, has shown everyone that all of us that how urgently we need capabilities out of office and how urgently we need solutions for remote patient monitoring and enabling patients and keeping patients engaged also outside the office.
Yeah, I think as a healthcare provider, the idea of having the patient involved in their ability to be able to navigate and also just kind of intraocular pressure measurements so they don't have to come in. I think that's very attractive for a lot of us. As you know, it's very difficult to get patients in right now during COVID, especially the ones that are scared to come in.
Yeah.
Majority of patients, I think they're still coming in. I would probably rank cataract number one because they need to see they're coming in. I would tell you though, a lot of the patients who have glaucoma, they're like less than delighted to come in. They're hearing the news and numbers, scared. So I love what you're doing. Tell us how that's going to, you think, impact the way we manage glaucoma.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, the thing is, you already know the need, and currently we have really significant limitations in managing the patients and getting to know their IOP. So the interesting thing is that I have been always thinking about this. IOP is the primary and only treatable risk factor for glaucoma, and we only get a few seconds of IOP understanding per year per patient, and this is in the best case if the patient is compliant, if the patient keeps visiting their doctor, and so IOP fluctuates, and we just have a snapshot of IOP, and then we expect doctors to make their, it's like an art. They are making their best estimate how to control the disease, how to regulate the treatment and everything. And this is what we are trying to help, because the need has already been defined by several studies by doctors, by key opinion leaders, and also by the industry leaders. we need more frequent IOP measurements. We need the diurnal IOP curve, and we need the capability to get to know how the patient is doing when they are not in the office.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit more about Smartlens. And you got the go-to-market strategy, and you've got a competitive landscape. But at the end of the day, none of these things are meeting the end requirements. And what you're doing is you got a unique opportunity, and your go-to-market is referrals through fittings, right, through physicians, and a recurring revenue model. Let's talk about that a little bit. Can you tell us about your go-to-market strategy and how you're positioning your company in this unique way?
Yeah, let's first talk about the technology, how it is different than the competition and everything. So, as I mentioned, the need has already been defined, but nobody could come up with an reliable and accurate solution, a convenient solution to address this need. And there are some existing devices, but they are not providing accurate measurements, and they are not easy to use, not convenient to use. They're expensive, and there are also some other factors not making them an ideal solution. So when we started Smartlens, before building our product, we have defined some design criteria, and we said that this should give the best possible experience to our users and the doctors. And for that, we said that it should be a non-invasive device. It should be easy to use. It should be electronics-free, power-free, and it should fit, of course, accurate measurements. And what we thought was the device would also be used not only for the patients, but also for people who are at risk for the disease, so that it will be an easily accessible device for anyone who needs it. So these were our design criteria, and we built our device by sticking to these criteria. We built first MyLens, and we have some other following technologies as well in our portfolio. And let me explain how MyLens is working, and then how we are making our plans regarding go-to-market and manufacturing and everything. So regarding the technology side, actually our lens is it's like a regular contact lens, soft contact lens, and it has an embedded microfluidic sensor in it. So the working principle of the device is capturing the corneal curvature in a very sensitive way based on the volume of the intraocular fluid. So the basic difference from the triggerfish devices, our technology is not relying on shear strain. It's not dependent on shear strain. It's volume based, and so we can very sensitively measure the IOP from the cornea. And the readout is, we have a readout mechanism, readout channel, and our readout is working like a thermometer. It's showing us the volumetric response based on the pressure inside the eye. So this is the basic difference, because the audience could have questions about, okay, what is the difference? There were some previous electronic-based contact lenses, and they provided something, but maybe it was not satisfactory. And I just wanted to explain this. So regarding go-to-market, so the first version will be a daily disposable contact lens, because the regulatory pathway is the shortest for that one. And then in the future, we are going to have longer term wear versions. And our primary channels will be the physicians and optometrists, and we will have subscription packages. So those subscription packages are based on number of days of measurements per month. So based on the disease state, physicians and optometrists, they will refer their patients to us. So if it's an advanced glaucoma patient, they would ask for maybe 5 or 6 days of measurements per month. If it is someone at high risk, it could be different. So it will be the doctor's decision for that patient what kind of data they would like to say, how often they would like to see the measurements. And for those days, we are providing IOP measurements for every hour. And if they do not want it more frequently, doctor can always change it. Doctor can say that I just want it every 2 hours, or I want it every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes. The reason here is we don't want to send them tons of data, because we know doctors, they have very limited time, and we just want to provide them an easy to use dashboard so that they see their patients over there and with the traffic lights, green and red lights, and they can easily focus on when there is an issue. So the idea here is not to just send them tons of data, but if they want to go deep dive, if they want to go into details and understand what's going on, they can always do that. But at the first glance, we just want to show them their dashboard, an easy-to-use dashboard. Just let them know how their patients are doing right now. And regarding the model, the revenue model, we are going to charge the lens fees to the patients, and doctors are charging the time they are spending. And the good news is both of these charges are reimbursable. So we currently have existing CPT codes, and through those CPT codes, both the fee for lenses and the time doctors are spending are being reimbursed. And currently for RPM, for remote physiological management, for remote patient management, up to $136 per month per patient can be reimbursed currently, with the current CPT codes. So this is really a very, I think, a very good potential for the clinics and for a recurring revenue line, which is very much needed these days.
That's terrific. That's a really good overview. So your strategy is to do a 510K submission, right?
Right.
The IP filings. Can you tell us what you're doing as far as the financing now? Are you Series A, B? What are you doing now?
Yeah, we have been quite capital efficient, and we have come this far with a single round of investment. And we only did a seed round, and now we are raising an A round. And we are raising this A round to finish the clinical trials, to make FDA submission and country IP filings. We currently have we have strong IP. We currently have 10 patents. 4 of them are already granted. So scientifically speaking, we have introduced many novel concepts. And regarding this round, regarding this financing round, this will help us. This will give us a 24 months runway. And we are going to be somewhere very close to FDA clearance after that time. And so that's our goal.
That's terrific. That's really good. And then you've got your board of directors, and you're now mobilizing on moving the ball down the field, as they say. I'm delighted to have you on here, and I think it's a very sort of unmet need what you're doing, especially where it's not based on any electronics. I think what you have is a unique model. I think we just have to kind of help you get some data and go from there. Tell us a little about what's the next year or two, assuming you got the funding in place. What does that look like? What does your clinical trials and pipeline look like?
Yeah, we have several sites in the US locally, and we are going to start the US clinical trials. So it's going to be a single day study, and it's going to be somewhere between 30 to 50 subjects. And what we will do is we are currently comparing our results with Goldman. So we are going to show the correlation between Goldman and our device, and currently we see a very good correlation. That's our aim, to publish those results as the clinical results. And we are anticipating that in the next 12 months, we are going to finish this period, and then FDA filing will come, and we are going to have this 510K pathway. And in 24 months or so, we are planning to get cleared. I know this is a little bit ambitious, but this is our plan. And based on what we have done so far, I think I believe that we will be able to do this.
So as a clinician, the only thing I would ask is, when we're seeing patients, do you feel like you're going to get any pushback for clinicians with contacts and glaucoma, especially with the elderly? We've talked about that. How do you address that?
Yeah, actually, the thing is, this is not an everyday wear contact lens. So it's a medical device in the end, and it's coming in the contact lens format. So say that, for example, for a patient, doctor would like to see 3 days or 4 days of measurement per month. So it's just 1 day a week or so. And we have tested this in different subjects, and dry eye or other conditions doesn't affect the comfort and all the other stuff. So if the patients will have, serious difficulty, we will have the optometrist send they are really trained on putting the contacts on and removing it. So patients can always get some help from the optometrists, which are nearby, which are close by. But on the other hand, we do not see a big issue about wearing and removing the contact. And the readout part, taking the picture with your smartphone. So the working principle of our lens is the person is wearing the lens and they are taking the pictures of their eye throughout the day. And in the device, it's just the pictures. And then we are uploading pictures to the cloud, and it's our software is processing the pictures and reading the IOP levels. Okay, this is basically how it works. And for our senior citizens, if that's going to be a problem, we just designed an additional goggle for their use, and they just put the goggle on, and the goggle is making the recording itself, and it's sending the data to the cloud, and the patient doesn't need to do anything else. They don't need to take care of smartphone notifications, smartphone camera, and things like that. So Google, actually, we love Google because it's giving us much more data points than the smartphone photos.
Yeah, and you're taking the patient element out of it, which is really smart. Yeah. No, I really like that. And then so tell us, if we were to kind of evaluate this technology. What's the end point? Are we, are you going to, what's your, you've got the IP, you've got, what does the liquidity horizon and exit potential look like for something like this? Are you strategics? Are you thinking of latching on other technologies?
Mm-hmm. Actually, we would like to stay on the technology side. So for go-to-market and for manufacturing, we are going to outsource and we are going to utilize established channels. And so this is our strategy. This is our basic strategy. For the liquidity side, for a possible exit. So I think ophthalmology is a small industry. Everyone knows each other, and we already know most of the people from the companies and from the strategics, and we have good relationships with them. It will be dependent on what's going to be valuable for us, for our stakeholders, and for those companies. And I think in 2 to 4 years time frame, an exit event is likely to happen.
Very good. And then, last but not least, we want to talk about your background and, legacy. And so, you've had a capability of joining a global company, and you've had an exit. And so what are your thoughts when you talk about young Savas starting out 20 years younger? You're 20, but let's say they were younger than you. What would you tell them? What would you tell them to avoid? Pearls and pitfalls, I call it.
Yeah, I would say, for becoming an entrepreneur, you really need a good reason. So that would be the first thing. So think really deep enough before starting a company, before starting a business, and so you need that good reason. And if you are 99% decided, that's not enough. It really wants full commitment. Other than that, I think the people you are working with is really very important than you would ever think. Everyone is saying this, but I just want to say this once again. I would tell my own self, I would tell this, especially as a good experience. And moreover, then you have the right people, not for the expertise, but also for the character, the right people to work together. Mm-hmm. And then it's all about what kind of a team you are. I mean, what kind, because you really need that infectious energy to be one team and to succeed as one team. Those would be my advice for anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, my 9-year-old this morning when she was leaving, she said, "Daddy, teamwork makes a dream work." I was like, "Wow, that's good. I want to." Exactly. That's really good. So, but with that said, I really want to appreciate it. We're coming up in our 30-minute mark, and I really want to appreciate you coming on. Such a crazy time right now for you and the family, and also just the COVID. And I'm absolutely delighted to have you present to our launchpad following week. So we're excited about that, and thank you.
Thank you, Ehsan. It was a pleasure speaking.
Thanks for joining us on this week's OIS podcast. Innovation is the lifeblood of eye care, and we are thrilled to take a deeper dive into Smartlens. Join us next week for a great conversation that took place during the recent OIS European Showcase between Joe Sullivan of Emetropes and Tim Clover, the CEO of Rayner. Also, stay on the lookout for future programs at OIS.net.